as we jumped into Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, this one has some very interesting changes. I feel like episode 4 has the most dispersed changes because it's the oldest, so it needs the most work. Episode 5 has the most dense changes in specific areas because there were obviously parts where Lucas wanted to be ambitious with it and he made it work, but it needed a little bit more. I feel like episode 6 has like two key moments where they really needed to touch it up, and that's it. Everything else was just digital enhancement. And it definitely is interesting because it's in the opening moments with Jabba where they really needed to touch things up, and then it's at the end, or it's when they get to the Endor moons where they really needed to touch things up. But it's like, let's get into the opening of episode 6 with our two favorite droids, C-3PO and R2-D2.
Going to meet with their drug dealer.
I love this scene because it's like, yeah, again, it's made for kids, but like it's 3PO being like, we have come with a message. Show him the message, R2. And R2 shows him the message, and Luke's like, I have brought these droids as offerings. 3PO's like, are you fucking kidding me?
You're playing the wrong message.
This must be the wrong message. No, this isn't it's.
But again, we're seeing 1983, 82 special effects with the projections, and they're still pretty good. Like, obviously, the touch-up version's way better. But from what we're seeing, it wasn't awful. It was pretty good.
It's nice seeing the evolution of the effects because I really appreciate Lucas as a filmmaker. I definitely, not the best writer, but as a filmmaker and a visionary, I really appreciate the fact that like you get to see that he was so excited to finally really like realize his dream of making a film that he wanted. And it's like, I don't agree with the changes, but I am happy to know that like he finally got to do what he wanted. And so that's always awesome to see. And it's like, you even see it in the original trilogy. It's like episode 6 is so visually ambitious. And it's never to the point where it's like episode 4 where I'm like, oh God, I don't know if I can watch this again. It's like episode 6, I think is the theatrical release I'd be more willing to rewatch over and over again.
Well, and that's the interesting part because I told you this. I'm like, oh, the speeder bikes are rough. Wait till we get to that. And watching it, I'm like, oh, wow, these are better than I remember.
It's like the tracking shots they did for those are genuinely impressive. And we'll get into that. For now, we gotta focus on Jabba being Jabba because, damn, this is the first introduction of Jabba. And as much as the CG in episode 4 with the new stuff is a good, like, inkling of what'll happen next, I kind of like that he's just a fat thing that just shows up out of nowhere as a drug dealer, and it's like, oh, cool, it's this guy.
And I can't remember off the top of my head. I think there were 6 puppeteers underneath Jabba working his tail, his mouth, his tongue, his belly, breathing and all that, his arms. It was quite a contraption that they used.
It's impressive, and it's like I can only imagine how sweaty it got under that thing. I mean, wasn't there a thing where Anthony Daniels, the 3PO suit, would like fill with sweat, so they had to like drain it sometimes?
Yeah.
And like so it's
hilarious. They always made that guy in the desert. It's like, Tunisia, how do you like it?
I hate it. Thanks. I'm so glad Anthony Daniels embraces 3PO, though. You can tell he loves the character. And it's like, there's like my favorite onset photo. There's a ton, but I love the one where 3PO has the cigarette in his mouth. And it's like, this goes so hard for no reason. But you have 3PO and R2, and they're playing the message, and Luke is like, oh, these are your offerings. And there's like a little dialogue that's like, we don't know what happened since Princess Leia and Lando Calrissian disappeared. And it's like, ooh, what happened there? And then you get to see
from this place.
And then you see where they come in, and then you see for a brief moment Lando wearing the helmet thing, and you're like, what's going on here? And this is where I really appreciate Solo, because it really dives deep into this aspect of Star Wars. And it's like, people get mad at Solo for things. It's like, no, it really captured what episode 6 introduced as like the crime lord underground outer rim stuff.
Well, it was cool to see the outfit that Leia wears.
Yes.
Is from Solo. And it's like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, not the slave Leia, the bounty hunter Leia.
Sorry, my brain went somewhere else in that one.
Have you seen the meme where it's the dude who plays Cal Kestis being like, oh yeah, episode 6, Leia's got her best costume, and like the slave one, he's like, poncho.
Nice.
I love that one. But that's immediately what I thought of right here. But it's like, just go on.
So we have more omissions than we have additions when we rewatch this, and that's the big musical dance scene that does not exist. Thankfully, it's fun and definitely kiddish, but not having it is fun.
It's like I don't care that it exists, but if it didn't exist, I think I'd be a little happier. Which, I mean, I guess then I could say I care that it exists, but I don't care enough to like want it gone. But if it was gone, I can't complain. It's interesting because it's like I like seeing Max Rebo. I don't want to see the thing with the lips and the bug wings. It's like, I don't know what the hell that is, and I don't want to see it. It's funny seeing it as just like a clay puppet in the background, just like twisting. That's funny. But then the Twi'lek dancer, I love the fact that she came back to work on those scenes for the remaster with George Lucas. That's such a cool thing to do because it's such a minor character who gets killed off, but she came back, and it's like, that's a really cool thing to do.
And again, we get a little bit of more tease reveal that I don't like. I love how that actress came back. I love how she was still fit and toned, that she could look exactly like she did in 83, yes, with green makeup on. But one of the things I don't like is we see her fall into the pit, roll out. We do not see the Rancor yet, but we get the idea that there's something horrific down there. Whereas when she just falls and the bed moves forward, we don't know what's down there. And it's a little more like Jaws, where it's like, oh shit, what's in there?
Very much so.
I prefer that, but I definitely prefer not having the whole dance musical scene. It was only for fun and for kids, and it doesn't advance the story at all.
Yeah, and it's like that's one of the few ones where I'm like, I really don't care for this. And it's like, I get it. Kids movie. It's one of the few choices where I'm like, I don't think this was a good addition. And I don't.
It was literally George Lucas trying to show what can be done with special effects in 1997. And he created almost a whole digital scene with fake characters. And that's what he was trying to showcase.
Bro was trying to make Animusic before Animusic.
And he did, but I like Animusic better. Yeah. Anywho.
It doesn't really work when you have the Uncanny Valley bug woman singing.
Exactly. And we have, again, more things we see in the background, like when they take the droids down and they're assigning them. We see more droids than we've seen before, just because not as dark as it should be.
I'm so mad my arm guy didn't come back for episode 6.
We saw Gonk. So
what did Gonk do?
I don't know.
What did Gonk do, dude? Because like he's getting his feet burned, and it's like, what the hell did Gonk do for that?
I couldn't tell you, man.
Did bro leak CIA secrets?
So again, we're just going along with the story. Nothing really new. We have some more rough special effects, like Han being unfrozen. And it was like, that's some rough layering that they did. And it's not that the current version's all that impressive, but then when you watch the original version, like, ooh, wow, that is not good.
It's like I could probably recreate it with like my phone and Adobe. That's how rough it is. And it's like, it's also a testament to current technology that it's so easy to do that now. But it's also like, oh, hell no. That is. Ugh.
Which, speaking of what, gets us to the Sarlacc pit. And I forgot how much it had changed until we saw this. We're like, oh shit, it's literally just a hole in the ground with no teeth.
The cruiser scene, the sand cruisers. Oh god, it is. And we'll get to the speeders, but it's like the cruiser scene in this makes the speeders look like gold, like buttery smooth. And desert tracking is amazing. They have the dunes in the background, and it's really impressive. But then you have these fuckers on the cruisers, and you're like, I can tell they're not doing anything. I can tell they had a blue screen with the fan off camera, and it's like.
And I swear, there's one character that looks like he's literally drawn in, like animated. It's like,
yeah,
it is. We don't have the establishing shot of going over the dunes with the banthas and all that, like we do in the 97. It's like we get to the pit, and the pit is just a hole in the ground with foam teeth.
Yeah, and it's like I get that. I see the vision. I like the big Sarlacc pit. It's far more threatening. And it's like, oh, this stinky thing is supposed to like be a torture pod?
Yeah.
Give me the big thing. The big thing is way scarier.
Yeah, this is more like Mad Max, oops, I accidentally fell into it, versus like, holy shit, watch out for these things.
Exactly. And it's, I mean, speaking of Mad Max, it's like those were about the same time. And it's like Mad Max knew how to cheat. Star Wars was ambitious and it tried to cheat. It didn't work that well with this scene.
No,
but the fight is still a lot of fun to watch though, because it's like there's a lot of fast cuts, so you're not really focused on the goofy the goofy blue screen. You're kind of just focusing on the action. And I will always love Luke, I'm an Olympic diver, Skywalker, flinging himself up the plank, doing that shit. And it's like, you really had to show off, man.
Well, yeah, he's a Jedi now.
I know. That's always funny to me, just that moment. And it's the fight, the lead up to the fight is rough with the visual effects, but the fight itself, you kind of just get roped into it because it's so much fun.
That gets us to the explosion of the sail barge, and that's sort of lame.
and the unceremonious death of Boba Fett, which I find hilarious because if I'm not mistaken, George Lucas hated the popularity Boba Fett got, so he just killed him off because he was like, I don't like this. I don't want to play with you anymore.
Now, there's a select few of us that do know the comic books that came out after that. Dark Empire shows the return of Boba Fett, which was awesome, and that he did not die. And thank goodness the book of Boba Fett came out and really explained and showed how badass Boba Fett is. But yes, that was lame, and he did not die.
No, and it's definitely George Lucas being like, I don't want to play with you anymore, and he just threw him in the Sarlacc pit. But after that, a lot of the visual effects are okay. Black R2-D2 comes back because Luke heads back to Dagobah. Mm-hmm. And Dagobah is beautiful again. And it's the conversation between Luke and Yoda this time. I love this scene because you have Yoda and he's like, do what you must, you will. And Luke's like asking so many questions. And Yoda's like, I'm just going to die, man.
Well, that's the famous meme now I can see why when his kid comes back, why Yoda chose to die versus just having this conversation with Luke. It's like, yeah, exactly.
It's like, shut up.
But and funny, and he is dying and he's trying to avoid these questions. And he's literally the last person in this galaxy universe that is willing to tell Luke or could get those information to Luke. And he's like, rest I need. Rest.
Like, but answer me.
He's got to know this stuff.
And I mean, as the scene itself, you can definitely tell it's Yoda's like, he can't give too much information because Luke has to figure it out himself. And you have Yoda's theme playing softly in the background. And it's like, it goes from this like triumphant moment in episode 5 where you hear the theme come in and Yoda's like delivering this wisdom to Luke and he's training Luke, to now this moment of just tenderness where Yoda is dying. He's leaving us. And it's this tender, soft moment with the music. And it just gut punches you because it's like, we come to see Yoda as this nigh invincible figure that can be the only one to help Luke save everybody. And he's dying. And it hurts me a little every time I see it because it's like watching Grogu in Mandalorian. It's like, he's just a little goober. I love him. It makes me sad when Grogu gets sad. So seeing Yoda die, I'm like, no, Yoda, no, stop. Please, no.
We get that, 30 seconds or whatever, where not in real time, this isn't Darth Vader spinning out a few minutes, where Luke is once again all alone in the universe as a Jedi. Until Obi-Wan's ghost comes back and we realize, okay, good. Just because you're not there doesn't mean you're gone. You're never gone. And we have another amazing interaction between Alec Guinness and Mark Hamill.
I will say though, I do want to jump in. I love the fact that it's Yoda that tells Luke that Leia is his sister, not Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan never tells Luke.
No, he doesn't say that. He says there is another.
But Luke figures it out. But Obi-Wan never says anything.
Exactly. But he doesn't say it's his sister.
That is true.
But then Luke and Obi-Wan are having their conversation, and from a certain point of view escapes his lips, and that makes everything that ever happens in Star Wars a lie or truth. It just depends how you want to interpret it, and it's perfect, especially delivered from Alec Guinness.
What I appreciate is when Obi-Wan is like, the Jedi, you must wall yourself from any emotion. You must cut all feeling off. And Obi-Wan knows way better than to say that to the kid of Anakin fucking Skywalker. And it really makes me think that he said that because he knew he needed Luke to kind of like not want to follow the Jedi. And that it's like he needed to basically antagonize the Jedi to Luke for like a brief stint to be like, no, I trust that you'll do the right thing because I know you can bring Vader back. So I need to antagonize the Jedi and their false understanding of human emotion so that you do the right thing at the right time. And it's like, yeah, Luke was stoic in the opening. And then you see him get frustrated with Obi-Wan here. And Obi-Wan's like, you must wall yourself from any emotion. And Luke gets like even a little more frustrated.
Yeah.
And it's like the inverse of the Emperor, where the Emperor eggs on his apprentices to see how strong they can get. Obi-Wan eggs on Luke to know he can make the right decision even when he's frustrated. And
again, we're getting Obi-Wan at the height of his Jedi power, so to speak. And that's not what we see in the prequels, especially since he's a Padawan in the first one. So all this wisdom we get, I had a lot of confusion when the prequels came out. And then as I'm seeing it more and rationalizing, I'm like, no, it makes sense. He trained in the desert for 20 years, and we've seen that in Kenobi, where he was not the confident Jedi that we see as the old man. Well, he lost everything, and he's coming to terms with it. And after 20 years in the desert, he figured out a lot of what he needed to know.
And he is a master with words. So him saying what he said was all intentional. And
Yes.
it's like, you can tell he was saying it to Luke because he's like, Luke has to evaluate this for himself. He can only deliver the truth to Luke as Obi-Wan sees it. It's like, yeah, so from a certain point of view, that is Obi-Wan's truth. And it's in a way Vader's truth. It is not Anakin's truth. It is not Luke's truth, but it is a truth from a certain point of view. And then him with the Jedi, it's like, yeah, I'm rationalizing this because I have never agreed with the Jedi code. I think it's stupid. But it's like him saying that to me almost is like, Obi-Wan knows the Jedi can no longer exist in the way they did, and that Luke has to rise above that by embracing emotion rather than getting rid of it. And that's where we get to Endor and the conversation between Luke and Vader. But we'll get to that after we go through the speeder bikes and getting to Endor itself.
And I think what I took out of this more so than I have before, because it's really the first time sat down, analyzed, and I understand it's not the presentation that George Lucas wanted, but really understanding, watching Jedi again, you can clearly see a different tone from the first two, meaning A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, and a clear disconnect from Empire Strikes Back. And if you know the backstory, George Lucas was not happy with Irvin Kershner and that he made such a dark-toned movie. So when we get to this one and he brought in Richard Marquand, it was definitely more of his influence, more kiddish, more goofy, and we see those sorts of things like the direction of the scene where they're all coming in and discussing the second Death Star and the plan to have it blown up, and it's just kind of goofy. And then we get to the planet, and there's a lot of good comedy, and then there's a lot of accidental, like, goofiness comedy.
Was that intentional or not? It's a lot of that. And it's I've seen a lot of discourse, and I do want to bring this up really quick. People are confused why the Death Star was constructed differently, given the new poster for Andor Season 2. And I'm pretty sure you know as well, it's like the first Death Star was built in complete secrecy. They didn't need to worry about it being operational and capable of defending itself. So when it was finished, they had a functioning planet killer. They weren't worried about that. The second one was built with the defenses first so that it could defend against ships coming in and trying to destroy it. Obviously, they didn't have them completely done when the Falcon and the Rebels came in and messed with it and blew it up. But it's like the whole point that the laser was constructed first was so that they could defend while it was still being constructed. And I've seen a lot of...
Yeah. That was the whole thing. The Emperor was luring them in so he could destroy the rebellion because it was operational.
Exactly.
And it was a big ploy that the Rebels didn't know. Literally, here's the famous one. It's a trap. That's exactly
It's a trap!
He lured them in to be destroyed.
Yes, and I've seen a lot of confusion on that, so I just wanted to bring that up and also say, just watch the freaking movie and you'll pretty easily figure it out. Like, I don't know if you haven't watched it, but like, just watch the movie and it tells you this.
And I think this has been cleared up, but if you're still confused, this is where Mon Mothma talks about many Bothans died. This one, this Death Star, not the first one, not Rogue One, this Death Star.
Yeah, I was gonna say it wasn't a lot of other species in Star Wars. There was a lot of people who died for the first one, just in general.
And it's a bummer that the Emperor just didn't accidentally include a reporter from the Atlantic. Then the Bothans wouldn't have died. They would have been fine.
Those have been some of the best Star Wars memes to come out recently. Are the Palpatine has accidentally added Jar Jar Binks to the Separatist group chat, or Galen Urso and Krennic have accidentally added Cassian Andor to the group chat. It's like so many of those are so brilliant, and it's like, yeah, that would happen.
I do.
But it's we get to the siege of the shield generator on Endor, and this is where a lot of people have a lot of different opinions about things, and it's biggest with the Ewoks. I love the Ewoks. I think they're awesome. And I genuinely love your understanding of them as almost like stand-ins for the Vietnamese. And it's a very interesting way to look at it, that you have a group of highly skilled guerrilla warfare-based fighters being sieged by people who have no want or reason to take their land.
Yeah, so who is going to fight harder? The people that live there, which are the Ewoks.
Exactly.
And the Ewoks are barbaric. Like, I think people look at them as the cute, fuzzy guys, but at the same time, they're making jokes about why did they have a dress that fit Princess Leia unless they'd already cooked up and eaten another person with that same size? Yeah, because they're savage.
Not to mention the fire pit was built perfectly to support a human. They had a rocking chair for a human. They had clearly had human guests before, and when the human guests were less partial to them, they clearly killed them. It's very much nobody thinks a spider is threatening until they're told that a spider is threatening, and that it's like the Ewoks are dangerous. Like, look at the Wookiees. Yeah, I want to give a Wookiee a hug, but it's like they'll kill you. It's like a bear versus a dog. It's like we all love dogs. We've grown up with dogs. They're cute and cuddly, and we love them. Look at a freaking bear. That thing will kill you. Yeah, I want to give it a hug, but it'll kill you. Dogs can still easily kill you. We just don't think about it that much because we have a different understanding of dogs. And it's the same with Ewoks. They're threatening, but we just don't think about it because they're cute. They're cute little goobers. It also doesn't.
I like how you brought that up, and we talked about this. In the original script, they were supposed to be Wookiees. But the problem is then you go from having these pint-sized things to these things that are 7 foot, and you need to have sets built. And the original Wookiee planet was basically all their villages were built in huge trees, bigger than redwoods and all that. And we see that in the prequels, but there is no way they could have created that with the technology in 1983. No. So what do we do? Pint size, shrink it down. We get Ewoks in the Ewok village, which, by the way, Mom and Dad, I never got that toy. Still waiting. Anywho, I am not offended by the Ewoks. Not one day did it cross my mind until people said it. Oh my gosh, these little fuzzy bears, teddy bears, took down the Empire. It's like, yeah, I don't understand the problem. So
I know, right? It's like
it bothered me.
It's like, look at the actual history. Look at the Persian siege of Greece. Greece had like what, 300 soldiers? And then you had the entire Persian army coming in. And those 300 Greek soldiers were like, oh, hell no. And they fought them off. It's like, it's not impossible. The unlikely winners of a war seem to do it every damn time it matters. French Revolution. The working class of France should not have won that conflict in any capacity. And yet they did. The American Revolution should not have won that. And yet we did. Well, Vietnam.
Exactly. And that's what kills me about this scenario is the Empire was prepared for the rebels. They were prepared for Han Solo and his small team That's what they had planned for. They had no clue that all these other creatures, warriors, were out there ready to fuck shit up. And that's exactly what happened. All
Not to
hell broke
mention,
loose
yeah,
against the Empire.
I'm pretty sure there are lines where it's like we've lost troops. Like troops have disappeared on the moon, and it's like they just don't know why. And we figure out it's the Ewoks. But it's like these fuzzy little fuckers are capable of taking down an AT-AT. We see them do it alone.
Yep.
And it's like they trapped Han Solo, Chewie, and everybody else in the net. So it's like they're not incapable. They are quite competent in destroying heavy machinery and trapping things.
Yep. Exactly.
And yeah.
And that's what we see. And I don't want to belabor, but the 2 Ewok adventures were awesome. I know they're not canon, but it shows that the Ewoks are badass and even have magic. So,
yeah. Not to mention, when you have a threat of a lake that traps you, yeah, you'd better be prepared for the worst.
Yeah. So I've never had a problem with that. I, again, love the story. I love how we get there. I love it's a trap. The special effects of the time we brought up the speeder bikes, they actually look better than I remember. I was surprised.
The speeder bikes, it's like a 10-minute segment, but I was fully prepared to be like, oh god, this is gonna look like the sand speeders. It's gonna be a 10-minute groaner. And then it starts and it's like, this isn't as bad as I thought it would be. It's obvious the camera in the woods is a little rough because it's just a dude running with a camera. And it's like you have the bikes and they're stationary while everything else around them is a little jittery. But it's like you then have the shots where it's like a pan, and they look incredible on the speeders as they pass by. The troopers crashing into the trees are genuinely some of the most impressive effects I've seen in Star Wars with pyrotechnics and then like throwing something at a wall essentially. The California redwood forest is a beautiful place to have this chase in, but it's like even when it's they're stationary and you have the stuff moving around them, some of those shots looked really good. You can barely tell it's blue screened.
And then when we are in the more forgiving light or black of space, all the starfighters and ships that are in that final battle,
oh my
unbelievable the special effects they pulled off in this film. It really is.
You can tell it's like where they first had like maybe 3 ships on screen at once. It then became like 8. And now we have 64 moving elements that they had to layer to make it work. And it's like that opening shot where you have the TIE fighters pulling out in front of the camera. And then you have like all the other ships. You have the Star Destroyers, you have the Death Star, and then you have the Rebel fleet. You could tell that's what George Lucas really wanted, and he put everything into that.
And then when the ship, the Millennium Falcon, and I don't remember how many ships are following, A-Wing and the X-Wing go into the Death Star, and the way it goes up over the lip, and then they go in this time in that small space flying through there, with the TIE fighters following through, Wedge is there with them. It's like unbelievable. And one of my favorite individual shots of all time is as it's imploding, you see it come down, and the fireball's going through the tunnel, and you see the flames licking the side of the Millennium Falcon, and then the fire shoots out, and we're like, oh my god. And then the Millennium Falcon shoots out, and there's Lando. Woohoo!
And it's beautiful visual effects for the time. And even now, I don't think they've really changed it that much. It's just that impressive and that good. And it's like
I really know they changed at that point was then the blowing up of the Death Star. Which again, the firecracker going off, and it's like, okay, whatever. Versus the concussion, which I don't know who decided that was going to be the way planets blow up now, but it's awesome to see that concussion ring go out, and it really is great.
And it's beautiful. It boggles my mind how they got the inside the corridor scenes. Like I think we took a minute to like try and figure out how they might have done it, and it's just that's where it's really like. I love the fact that they did that with practical effects, most likely, and it's just so impressive that you get that. And now we got to get to probably like the best string of moments in Star Wars and this film: Luke, Vader, and Palpatine, and the culmination of the 5 films that came before this.
And this final battle with all of them, and I've seen some interesting over the years theories. One of the newest ones that I've seen is that Vader did not block Luke's lightsaber to protect the Emperor. He blocked Luke's lightsaber to prevent Luke becoming Vader. And I was like, damn, that really hit you in the feels because nobody was there when the Emperor, your favorite line, Sidious, is like, do it. And
unlimited power.
When he beheads Dooku, and that really is the first moment where he went way too far. Yes, he did it with the Sand People, but that's almost forgivable. This time is like, you killed Sith, which
and then
you have two murderers, you kill a murderer, you still have a murderer.
And then the inverse, when Windu is fighting off Palpatine, guess who didn't step in? And it's like Anakin has been on both sides of that, where he has been the one who kills and the one who didn't stop somebody and do the right thing. So he knows without question that Luke cannot be the one to do this. So him stopping him to save Luke is a very real thing. And the way I look at it is their conversation on that hallway when Luke surrenders, I see it as Vader's gone. Vader is gone. Vader left the second he sliced Luke's hand off. And he was like, oh, shit. Sorry, kiddo. Fuck. And it's like, that's when Vader's gone. Anakin came back because it's like, I'm pretty sure when I have a kid, and if I hope this never happens in any capacity, but if I injured my kid to that extent, I would feel awful. I don't think I would ever be able to live with it. And I'm sure you would feel the same. And that would probably
do you remember me rolling your fingers up in the window?
That is true.
Yeah, felt awful.
That is true.
Really, really bad.
And it's like that would be so powerful to any parental figure that it would snap Anakin out of it. Vader would be gone. And so it's like Anakin, I feel like it's Anakin the rest of 5 and all of 6. And that it's like he's caught between the two, but it's more like he's pretending to be Vader so that he can at least like get Luke to help him. And the way I see it is when he's like, we can rule the galaxy together. It's like, it's still Vader to some extent, but it's like poor phrasing.
Well, I think you're onto something in that he knew he needed Luke to defeat the Emperor. He obviously has not ever been able to do it by himself. So he knows he needs his son to be able to do it. I mean, that's
exactly
a good argument on, and he couldn't, much like Kylo Ren and Snoke, he couldn't come out and say his plans. So he had to hide it. And that's how Kylo Ren did it. But in this way, Vader had to do it in a way that, obviously Emperor is far more powerful than Snoke. So he had to hide what he was trying to do. And I'm not saying he planned for all those things to happen in the Death Star, second Death Star, but, it worked the way he wanted it.
I mean, let's be real. Anakin is one of the greatest improvisers of our time. So it's no wonder he was like, well, I might as well go with it. And it's the way I look at it is if Anakin wasn't slowly regaining control, Luke would have been dead. Luke would be dead already, just gone. And it's the fact that there's even any diplomacy between the two in that hallway shows that Vader is fading away. And that you have, like, there's this moment where it's like, I think Luke says, Father. And Vader, like, pauses. And you can tell he so badly wants to say son. But he can't. Because it's like he can't give away what he's thinking of.
Well, he did that at the end of Empire.
He did.
He's like, Father, son.
Yeah. And it's like he's got to, like, he's still got to keep that moment where it's like, I can't let him know what's going on. And it's such a powerful moment.
It definitely, that leads us to one of the best lightsaber battles of all time.
Oh my God. I hate people who complain about any of the choreography in 456 because, and I will be a huge literary analysis nerd right now, there is always a point to violence in literature. Episodes 1, 2, and 3, the fights are a spectacle because not only are the Jedi trained, not only are the Sith trained, they are meant to be these epic duelists capable of amazing feats. 456, that art is gone. You have an old man and a dude who's half machine fighting each other, and they are not in their best shape. Luke and Vader fighting each other on Cloud City, you can tell Vader is struggling at points because it's like He's using the Force to make up for the fact that he can't move as fast as Luke does. And it's like Luke isn't as talented a saber duelist as any of the previous Jedi, but it's like the point isn't that they can fight like old Jedi. The point is that it's like they are struggling, and their fight is literally the basis of keeping the universe together. So the fact that they are so heavy with their blades and they're so careful with it is that if either of them loses, it's the end for either side. And that's where you get this final lightsaber duel that's so powerful. It's maybe 3 minutes long, but it's so deep because you have Vader and Luke fighting each other, and Vader can't lose just yet. And Luke just feels like he has to win, so at least he has a chance against Palpatine.
But then we take it up a notch because Luke, I will not fight you, Father. And Darth Vader learns he has a daughter. Yeah. And obviously we get the rage that's coming out in Luke. This is a one which was also interesting because, again, the Dark Sword is dark. So we got to see more of Luke in the shadows and his reaction and what he was wearing, which you and I both were like, we've read that this is supposed to be a dark brown tunic.
Or like a blue or something. I don't know.
Like black. So I don't know about that. But
yeah,
Luke loses it on Vader. They go at it.
Oh my God.
Luke is more powerful than Vader at this point.
And I love that moment where you see Luke just go ham on Vader. It's like, and then the scene where it's like, it's like, holy shit, dude, calm down.
You see it in his eyes. It's perfect. It's beautiful. And then you hear the cackling of the Emperor, and he's like, strike him down.
And this is where it's like, this is where you see that everything worked. Yoda's plan, Obi-Wan's plan, to an extent, Vader's plan worked because Luke cannot be persuaded by the dark side because he doesn't bear the sins of his father, but he knows what his father did. And he knows that Palpatine is full of shit. So it's like
when he throws his lightsaber away and he looks at Palpatine and he's like, no, I'm a Jedi, like my father before me. And it's like, oh my God, that is one of the greatest lines ever spoken. It's beautiful. The arrogance with which he says it gets him electrocuted.
And you will die like him too.
Zappy.
And it's
I love new meme when we see Yoda in the second one be like, it's like, why didn't you teach me that?
And it's I love, I'm gonna shout out Madison here. I love that she loves the Emperor for just being zappy. Oh my God, we would play Battlefront all the time, and that was her favorite thing to do. And I swear she was good at it too.
Oh, yeah. She loved being the Emperor.
It was scary. It's like, oh cool, we're gonna play Battlefront. Madison's gonna play. Oh God, I am not winning this fight.
But that gets us to another big change that really pissed me off. In the original, to me, it's perfect. We have the Emperor attacking Luke, Vader just standing by watching, really going through the emotions of, am I an apprentice or am I a father? Whatever. And then he finally, Father, please, comes to terms, nods his head, picks up the Emperor, throws him down without saying a word. The new ones, he screams, no.
Yeah, and it sucks because you have Kenobi now that has him almost completely silent the whole way through. And it really enhances the original theatrical release. But the no, it's like, yeah, I get Anakin might say that, but I also kind of want him to shut the fuck up and just do it.
Yeah, which is how this goes. And I have not really watched Return of the Jedi with a critical eye to the Emperor falling down to his body, spirit, whatever, being transposed. It's totally feasible, just like the books and comic books discussed. Yes, I have zero problems with the fact that he comes back, but this is something I did forget to bring up. What were your opinions on seeing Ian McDiarmid as the Emperor for the first time in the movie?
It was jarring because we had just seen episode 5 where you have a very different voice, and then he comes in and it's like, I wonder how people felt in the original theaters, because it's like you saw the Emperor And then now you see this emperor, and you're like, is this the same person? I mean, I know it's
remember, it was spaced far apart. We did not have the internet to show us what it was. So it never occurred to me that it wasn't the same person, voice or actor. Just never occurred to me.
It is interesting how different it becomes, but it's like, I really like that. It's like he gets maybe 5, 10, probably closer to 15 full minutes of screen time, and he just exudes villainy, and he's so good at it.
And it's funny to watch the makeup and all that. And I know it was a projection in the 5th one, so Empire Strikes Back, to what he actually looked like in person. It was like, wow, they made that so much better, because it was a weird alien forehead thing in the second one.
Yes.
Wasn't even sure it was going to be human. And then we see what he becomes, and it's like, oh, dude. And talk about a good sport. This is where I love British actors. Like Ian McDiarmid, he came on to be the Emperor in a franchise that was already going to be popular, no matter what he did. Cool. And he made it better. Oh, hey, Ian, what if we used your image and voice and replaced the thing we had in Empire Strikes Back for our re-releases? Okay, cool, George. I'm good with that. Hey, Ian, I got a great idea about these prequels, and you're going to be a big part of it. You want to do that? All right, cool. Awesome. Down for it. All right. Well, we're making this new trilogy, this last trilogy. Don't worry, you're not involved. Just kidding. Hey, Ian McDiarmid, what if we brought you back as the Emperor and you basically controlled all this stuff? I'm down. Let's do it. It's like, for a dude who's only supposed to have 30 minutes total, he really made a career out of the biggest bad guy in the universe.
And it's like, I hate people who argue against Palpatine coming back now, because there's an interview where Hamill explains why they burned Vader's corpse. And then it's like, he explained that it's like, bad guys somehow always come back. It's like, weird. It's almost as if the ultimate evil of the universe, who is capable of doing so many things that we see him do, is capable of coming back several times.
And that's where I'm very frustrated at the Acolyte, because I know they announced recently that they're doing some books to beef up that storyline, but that is the explanation to who the Emperor is and becomes, as by way of Sheev Palpatine and Darth Sidious, because that was Plagueis that we were seeing. So I would love more information that's canon, but we'll see what we get.
Yeah, and I definitely look at that as like, Palpatine is the slipperiest, snakiest, most vile piece of human, not even human anymore, piece of Sith garbage in the galaxy. He is a cockroach. He will find a way to live. And it's like, we see it in episodes 1, 2, and 3. He is so good at manipulating every side of a war that he takes control of the fucking galaxy and then keeps control of it until the rebellion destroys him, and then plays the two sides again as a clone of himself. This man is so impressive when it comes to being like a political nightmare that, somehow he came back isn't even that far out to me, because he's just that conniving.
Well, I think that's he's the perfect Sith. Like, we see the perfect Jedis as they learned more. Well, the Sith was gone for thousands of years. What do you think they were doing? Perfecting themselves. And this is where I hope it becomes canon. But we have Darth Bane and the Rule of Two, and then a lot of years in between. But then we have Plagueis, and their fault was Bane was too prideful and powerful and literally thought he was indestructible. And this is not canon, but in his trilogy, he felt like he could transfer his body to a new host and continue being Darth Bane. We don't really know who ended up living, but then Darth Plagueis felt like he could cheat death, and that's what he studied and became. And he died because Sheev, i.e. Palpatine, was the one who learned and took all these lessons and became the most powerful Sith that we've ever seen.
Have you ever heard of the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
Not so why would you be surprised I killed him as a clone? And he was the one who brought the whole clone army into fruition.
It's like there is so much there that connects it together. And I feel like it's just fans misunderstanding it or just not having the greatest memory and getting pissed. And it's like, okay, I get it if you're frustrated because it's like kind of out of nowhere, but it's not impossible. It's honestly, I have more issue with Darth Maul coming back because the whole joke is local man too angry to die. And it's like, so you'll take less issue with the dude who got cut in half coming back, but you're mad at the dude who, with all the technology and access to resources he had, coming back.
Which they prefaced in the damn books, I can never remember, Aftermath, that came out that told the plan of the First Order, the Empire, leaving to go to the Outer Rim, the unknown regions, and now we know as Estegol, and reformatting and reforming so that the Emperor could come back. It was all there.
And it's like, the only reason the First Order came to fruition is because the influence of the Emperor had to still exist. I mean, in Mando, they're like the return of Thrawn. It's like Thrawn wouldn't come back unless somehow Palpatine had a hold on any of these people in some capacity. So it's like he was never gone.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway,
but besides all of that,
another big change is again, we see the Death Star blow up and it's a firecracker. But we see it now from the moon of Endor as well, which is the same damn firecracker, which was hilarious.
Yeah, that's the reused explosion I was thinking of.
Yes. So then we get to, I think, pretty much all the same.
It's the celebration.
Luke burns at Darth Vader's body, and we get to the Ewoks celebration and the singing. You finally got to hear the real music. I have no idea why it was ever replaced.
I get the point, but it's like, this is fun. Or whatever it is. It's like, that's way better than the shit they did.
Way better. And I guess the reason why they redid it was because they added all those other scenes of celebrations across the galaxy, which obviously don't exist in this form because it's only Endor. They're not showing.
But they couldn't just
on any of them.
They couldn't just extend the music they had?
I don't know. But then what did you get to see for the first time ever?
I think every movie has its own part that like the new movies changed, and that it's like this holy grail that any Star Wars nerd that hasn't seen it gets the pleasure to see. You have episode 4 with Han shot first. You have episode 5 with Cloud City, and then you have episode 6 with the original actor for Anakin Skywalker showing up as a Force ghost.
Sebastian Shaw, you'll never be heard of again, but thank you for your work.
And it hurts me because I get Hayden Christensen showing up, but I don't get it at the same time. It's like I see the vision. I see the vision, Lucas. I don't agree with it in any capacity. Like, I appreciate Sebastian Shaw showing up as Anakin because it's like, people are idiots. They can fill in the gaps. And I get it. You're reverting to when Anakin was a proper Jedi. But it also kind of discredits the entire emotional journey Vader experiences in 4, 5, 6. That it's like, so he wasn't a Jedi at the very end when he threw Palpatine into the pit and then gets his redemption as that looking Jedi. In a way, it kind of backtracks the character arc you get from Vader. And I don't agree with it because it's like he would have aged and changed. It's not like Qui-Gon. It's not like Obi-Wan.
It's also awkward because we have the older version of Obi-Wan still. Obviously, we have the older version of Yoda still. So why then revert to the younger version of Anakin? On that note, it's sort of funny that didn't change in '97 because Hayden Christensen wasn't Anakin yet.
Exactly.
I don't know exactly what it changed, but
it was the 05. It was the 05 Anakin. It was the 05 Anakin. So they had another 8 years. So it's like, what the hell, guys?
Yeah. So it's kind of comical how that changed. No, I don't quite understand why. Yes, I get the argument. I still don't understand. Like, I'm glad they didn't take out Alec Guinness and all that.
Oh, thank goodness.
It's just weird, goofy, but that's the ending.
And I love
music.
Yeah. I love the joke Lego Star Wars does with it, where they have Yoda, Obi-Wan, some dude I've never met before, and Palpatine shows up and he's like, "What's up, guys?" And Mace Windu grabs him as a Force ghost. And it's like it really shows that, yeah, Hayden Christensen, I get it. But Sebastian Shaw is just, it's that poetic ending that you really get because you see Sebastian Shaw, yeah, he's in heavy makeup, but you see him.
That was a different guy.
That was a different guy?
Yeah.
Oh, well, then never mind.
It's funny, the dude who actually played Darth Vader, David Prose, under the mask, was never seen.
That's right.
And then this dude, I don't even remember who that was seen for there. And then a whole nother dude at the end. It's like, cool. And then they're all replaced.
Well, that's fun. But I appreciate Sebastian Shaw more because it's like we see Anakin has aged, we see he's changed, and we see he is completely reformed. He has gone through that visual character arc we're supposed to see. We see seeing Hayden Christensen is almost a regression of the character, and I just can't agree with it.
It makes sense from a certain point of view because he would have been more robot as Sebastian Shaw because he'd lost a lot of body parts.
That is true.
Yeah, having him go back to when he was a whole person for the last time kind of makes sense.
That is true. I get both arguments. I appreciate the visual storytelling of Sebastian Shaw, but I get the point of Hayden Christensen.
Yeah.
And it's not that much of an issue because either way it's impactful. It's meaningful.
And now it's a fun, nerdy thing that you've seen, so you know the difference. And when people, you can carry that oral history on, because literally I've lived with it, so it never occurred to me until we started talking about this and being like, oh yeah, there are a lot of differences, James. Let's just watch them. So that's where this experiment was born from.
If I don't get that CD box set in the will, I don't know if I can consider you my father anymore.
Well, you're going to have a bigger problem. You need to keep a technology to be able to watch them.
Oh, don't worry. I have the PS3.
Well, that's what I mean. You need to make sure. We still have VHS tapes, and I still have a VHS player. Always have to have.
Oh, believe me, I'm going to be the dude when I'm like 40, and that technology is almost 100 years old. I'll be like, oh, hell no. I'm not getting rid of this. This is good stuff.
So what he's saying is he imagines 40 being old, and I'm 7 years past old.
I am saying the relative age of the technology.
Oh. Need a nap.
Cry about
Anywho, so that is our review, breakdown, retrospective of the original versions of A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. Again, standard definition. We did not get to see anything fancy at all, and we certainly didn't get to see it on film. I do not know of a high-quality transfer that exists of those originals because Lucas legitimately wants them dead. And then the British version they're showing is one of the original film versions that they had. So I'd be curious to even see and hear that because it's going to be completely different. Again, I almost guarantee it's in the contract with Disney. They are not allowed to show those. That's why I was shocked to hear it was coming out. But then hearing it was more of a film retrospective than it is a official release made more sense. So if you have an opportunity, it is a lot of fun to go back and watch these unaltered, uncut. We didn't even mention the fact when Star Wars started, there was no A New Hope. There was no Episode 1. Didn't say anything about that.
Oh my God, the title card was so weird. I'm so used to seeing Episode 4, A New Hope, and it's just Star Wars. And it's like, that's a weird one. And then you get to 5, and it's Episode 5, Empire Strikes Back, and it's like, I feel bad for the people who went to the theater and were confused to high hell at what the fuck was going on.
Well, when they saw the popularity of the first one, they did go back and re-release it several times before 1980. Yeah. And in the re-releases, they did put in Episode 4. So there probably were, again, there wasn't the internet to explain, wait a minute, why does this all of a sudden say Episode 4? But that made sense quickly with 5. And they were a series of comic books coming out at the same time. And a wonderful novel called Splinter of the Mind's Eye, which has Luke and Leia getting it on, in so to speak, where they're trying to hide their romantic wants, so to speak.
Don't worry, guys. It's one of the ones that should be non-canon.
Yeah, it is obviously not canon anymore. But yeah, it's a different way to look at the world of Star Wars, and it's interesting to see how it's evolved and how all the other Star Wars stories that come out since have really made this make way more sense. And it really is one of those happy accidents where Star Wars became perfect over time. Yes, I know there's a lot of detractors still, but it really became the universe it is over time. It was not built in 1977.
Yes. And I'll never forget, every time it happens, my favorite line in all of Star Wars. Now, that's a name I've not heard in a long time. Of course I know it. He's me. I don't even know what George Lucas was on when he wrote that, but it's like, I don't know how Alec Guinness got through that line, but he did, and it was brilliant.
Yes, it was nice seeing Alec Guinness again as Obi-Wan. I love Ewan McGregor, but Alec Guinness is and always will be the original, and Ewan McGregor definitely took it up a step. But it's Alec Guinness really made Star Wars what it is because his looks, his speech, everything was perfect. You needed that. Really,
he is the backbone of Star Wars. Like I've said so many times, and I'll die in this hill. Without those little reactions he had, you don't get Star Wars. You don't get the basis for the prequels. You don't get the sequels. You don't get everything in between. Because Obi-Wan is the linchpin, the hinge that all of Star Wars lies upon. And it's like, whether the writers were following that, or that was Lucas's plan to have Alec Guinness kind of have that uncertainty in there, it doesn't matter. Without Alec Guinness and his acting, you don't get Star Wars.
So my review at the end of the day is that it was fun to watch. I will probably never watch it again. I will take the prettier CG infused version, even though I lose Han shooting without Greedo. And I have to watch the added Jabba scene, and I have to watch the musicians, Max Rebo with the weird bug lady, and the nose. I will watch those a million times over because they are just easier on the eyes. This was a rough watch, which I was surprised. James, what's your final review?
I like being able to see the filmmaking aspect of it, but I do agree it is a rough watch. When I have kiddos, and I hopefully get to watch this with them, this version with them, that'll probably be one of the last times I rewatch it. I may rewatch it here and there, at least episode 6, because it's the most visually easy on the eyes because it's the most advanced of the 3. But I think for what it is a beautiful look into the history of Star Wars and how George Lucas progressed as a filmmaker and how technology progressed. It's a wonderful and excellent course on history. And I love how I get to see the different aspects of filmmaking and how it all got put together. And the stupid droid with the fucking arms that's like, why the hell does this thing exist? It's goofy, and I love it because of that.
So let us know what you guys think. Have you seen this original version? Were you old enough to actually see it in theaters? Have you seen the DVD version so you know what we're talking about as far as the transfer not being beautiful? I have the VHS tapes somewhere, but I decided not to go back that far. So, anywho, let us know what you guys think. And if you are of the generation that didn't even know these existed, let us know what your thoughts are. And have you seen some of these scenes? Do you know what we're talking about? We love talking Star Wars, so talk with us.